Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
So I hear you need a little bit of help with your upcoming lesson. Can you tell me just a little bit about your lesson and what you have planned?
Yes, so we're going to continue working on inferencing. I started using the silhouettes as a warm-up before to help prepare them with background knowledge and looking for clues, but I changed that for this lesson. And I'm also going to be working with both chapter books. So Kaylee's going to read Patches, which she started reading yesterday, and Jack was absent yesterday, so he's going to start reading The Sinking of the Titanic today. I had pre-selected stopping points, so I know what inferential questions I want to ask them during their own reading, as well as good points for them to build metacognitive strategies.
Okay. You had said that you were using silhouettes to prepare the students, but now you changed the lesson. Can you tell me what you...
Sure. So instead of using the silhouettes this time, I wanted to include another mentor text. So I did some research on what would be good, appropriate text for inferencing, and I found The Mysteries of Harris Burdick by Chris Van Allsburg. So I'm just going to do one page from there as a warm-up, and also getting them to discuss their background knowledge together. I noticed that Jack is weaker in his background knowledge, so I feel if they can talk to each other about what they're seeing, using the clues and discussing their own background knowledge, they could help build off of each other in that sense.
And tell me about your decision to use The Mysteries of Harris Burdick.
So I think that based on the surveys that I've done with them, both students are interested in mysteries. So I felt that this would be something that would capture their attention from the beginning, as well as make it a safe environment for discussing their own background knowledge and the clues, because there really isn't a right answer for it. It's very open. I even explored it further, and other children have written stories based on the pictures and sent them in. So I'm trying to make this more of an open, safe environment of just discussing what it is that they see and using those clues to help them come to their own inferential thinking.
So from what I hear you saying is you're using The Mysteries of Harris Burdick just to kind of make it an open, comfortable conversation where they can't technically be wrong, essentially.
Right.
Okay. And can you explain a little bit further how you'll use that to practice inferring?
Absolutely. So based on the background knowledge that they discuss and their clues, we're going to follow up with the graphic organizer as well. So even through the oral discussion, I'm going to scaffold them through writing down their own background knowledge as well as the clues to come up with an inference that's occurring in the story that they say, or the picture.
Are you expecting that they'll need a lot of guidance, or what are kind of your expectations with...
That's a good question.
Harris Burdick?
I do expect that they will need some guidance. I think Jack may still need a little bit more guidance. But I would like for them to come up with different background knowledge if possible, just to see what it is that they're thinking when they look at this picture.
Thank you for explaining.
Thank you for asking.
I also noticed that you practiced vocabulary in word work the previous day. What method did you use to teach that?
So when I worked with Kaylee on those vocabulary words, I had done two skills at once. So I focused on words that had a suffix as well as words without a suffix, but I also pulled a vocabulary from her text that I knew that she would struggle with. So we had more of an open discussion. I think that I need to also have a graphic organizer, but not do a graphic organizer for every word, but only the words that she's still not comfortable with being able to explain clearly. So, for example, when we talked about adopted, Kaylee shared that she was adopted, so I felt that that was a vocabulary word that she understood,
Right.
therefore we wouldn't have to do a graphic organizer for it. But coming to the word adorable, she told me that it meant cute. So that would be a synonym, but that's not technically the definition of it. So the definition of adorable would be lovely or charming. So trying to build more of the rich vocabulary, I think that would be more appropriate to use the graphic organizer.
And how will you how will you further that how will you know, and how will the students know when they come to a word that it's difficult for them?
Okay, that's a good question. So I've noticed, just based on their body language and also hesitating when they try to look at the word. So I've also posted different anchor charts
Okay, I did see.
that I have for what do I do if I get stuck on a long word. So I'm trying to constantly refer them to that instead of just trying to say another word, as well as using the clues from the text if they're reading the word in context.
And in your plans, you have Jack reading silently.
Yes.
While you read with Kaylee, and then
Yes.
I assume
Yes.
they're switching roles.
Yes. That's correct.
When Jack, because I know you've kind of been worried about him and the guidance that he needs. When you have him writing unknown words on the Post-it, will you be going over those words later? Or is it like, how will you?
Yes, that's a great question. So while he's reading silently, I want him to write down on a Post-it any words that he feels that he's stuck with on the meaning. Even after we go over them in word work, if that's something that he's still struggling with, or if there's a new word that I did not anticipate him struggling with, I'm going to go over with him briefly in context when we reread one-on-one together. But that's also going to drive my instruction to go deeper into that vocabulary the following lesson.
Okay. And if, in general, if students are still needing guidance with making an inference, I guess, after this lesson, kind of, what do you anticipate being your next steps?
So I do want to have a discussion with them. So as part of my debriefing, I want to know if they're realizing how inferencing is helping them, and if it's the background knowledge that they're struggling with or the text clues. So depending on what they feel they're struggling with the most, then I'm going to target that specific area. So if it's background knowledge, then I'm going to go into the text deeper for the next lesson and look for more examples throughout their story, other pictures. If it's text clues that they feel they're struggling with, then I'm going to focus on isolating that specific skill for what stands out to them in the text isn't giving them more information. What would they want to know more about for the next lesson?
And I guess that leads me to, what are your major concerns? What would you like me to look for when I'm observing you?
So I definitely would like you to look for the level of guidance that is needed. We're doing several different things in terms of inferential teaching and practice. So for the mysteries of Harris Burdick, I would like that noted on the level of guidance if they're staying on topic as well as off topic. But also when we get into reading one-on-one and they have to identify background knowledge and text clues, I would like to know specifically if for background knowledge the 2T needs guidance, if for text clues the 2T needs guidance. So I really want to break it down instead of saying, do they need guidance making an inference? Is it that they need guidance with the background knowledge? Do they need guidance with the text clues? Or guidance overall? So I think in terms of the chart that we're looking at this time, maybe have one column background knowledge, one column text clues, and then the third column inference.
Okay.
And that way I can isolate to see exactly where, which area they're struggling with the most, if not all parts of making the inference. I think that would
Okay.
help me with moving forward.
Okay. Will do.
All right, thank you so much.
Any other concerns or?
No, I think that's definitely just making sure that I'm guiding them appropriately in terms of for their own inferential thinking, as well as helping them get more independent.
Okay. All right.
All right.
I look forward to seeing your lesson.
All right, thank you.